Yes, a 40-year-old plumber with a low back pain, backache, and pain healed for 1 year.
So what do you think he's having? He's a plumber by profession. He has backache for 1 year, heel pain for 1 year. If you want more details, you'll ask. These are what he has told in the outpatient. Now you have to take the history to come to a diagnosis.
In the history, we can ask him the onset, whether it was acute onset or insidious onset.
It was insidious.
We could ask for a history of morning stiffness present.
He has history of morning stiffness for 1 hour.
History of if it is a dull aching pain or if there is any pins and needles sensation.
No pins and needle sensation.
The progression of pain, if it is progressively increasing in nature.
Very slowly progressing.
The location, whether it is only in the lower back or whether it is radiating to the lower limb.
Not at all, no radiation.
Then associated history like weight loss.
No weight loss. No weight loss.
Whether it is improving on rest, whether the pain.
What does morning stiffness mean to you?
Present in the morning and relieved as the patient starts doing activities.
So what is the relevance of this question? You are asking me whether it's increasing or decreasing at rest. You already said he has morning stiffness. That means it's increasing on taking rest. Next question.
Whether there is whether the patient gives any history of night pain.
He doesn't have much night pain.
History suggestive of inflammatory bowel disease, like
he doesn't have any symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease. Whenever he wakes up at night to pass urine, he feels the backache.
Family history of any arthritis?
No family history of arthritis, but that's a family history of backache. Yes, any more details you want in the history? And you said he has got heel pain. You would like to ask more about it?
Heel pain, whether it's exaggerated on walking or present even at work.
It is getting relieved on walking for 15 minutes. Maximum pain at the beginning and it gets relieved as you start walking. So far what you have done, you got some details now. So history of persistent illness, you wanted following details. Morning stiffness is present. Tell me the red flags of back pain.
Sir, night pain.
Night pain, yes, 1, 2. Weight loss, you said already. 3, pain radiating below the knees, you said already. 4, neurological deficit, you asked, okay. Weight loss, you asked. 5, you asked history of fever. 6, you asked history of bowel bladder problems. So neurologically, bowel and bladder is not affected. You didn't ask about abdominal pain. Here doesn't have abdominal pain too. Anything else you want to know? So when you say morning stiffness and low backache, which are the morning stiffness producing conditions of the back?
Sir, it's present in inflammatory joint diseases.
Okay, so which inflammatory joint disease affects your back?
It could be spondyloarthropathies.
So spondyloarthropathy is a spectrum. So which are the members of this group?
Spondyloarthropathies include axial spondyloarthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, reactive arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and arthritis along with inflammatory bowel diseases.
So you didn't ask about psoriasis, did you? You didn't say. You didn't ask history of urethritis, conjunctivitis preceding the illness.
Yes.
So those things would have been appropriate. History of diabetes, peripheral arthritis, you asked? No. Does he have any history of enthesitis?
And this heel pain could be due to enthesitis.
What do you mean by enthesis?
Enthesis is inflammation affecting the ligaments at the site of insertion of ligaments and tendons to bone.
That is called as enthesis, and inflammation of those sites is called as enthesitis. That's a characteristic feature of inflammatory backache. Okay, dactylitis. What is dactylitis and how do you recognize it? Dactylitis means whole inflammation of whole finger or toe. That's so the inflammation of the tendons and soft tissue in the toe. So it will be swollen and uniformly swollen. The site of the proximal interphalangeal joint, distal interphalangeal joints, and the part in between, they will all be same size. And it look like a sausage. Actually, the foot particularly, the toes will look like a sausage. If you have seen one. Family history. There is a family history of backache. There is no history of chronic diarrhea. Skin disease, he has his skin disease. He has some hair problems. He has no mouth problems. He has no nodules. But genitalia, we are not sure about it. So spondyloarthropathies, what are the characteristic features?
So in spondyloarthropathies, it's a monoarthritis affecting large joints.
Spondylo means spine. So it's axial skeletal disease, basically. Plus arthritis, peripheral arthritis. So spondyloarthritis means both axial skeleton and peripheral joint. So that is the difference between other types of arthritis, where spine is not the first place to be affected. Second is it runs in families. The third point, there's an association of HLA with these spondyloarthropathies. Enthesopathy, very characteristic. Dactylitis, very characteristic. Uveitis, very characteristic. And asymmetry is very characteristic. Okay. All other diseases coming to the group of arthritis commonly affects the female population, but here you'll find male and female are equally affected. And extra-articular manifestations are also different. There are no nodules. So that's how they differ from spondyloarthropathies. So history in this patient, there is morning stiffness, there are skin lesions in the scalp, and his nails are all damaged. What do you think about them?
Lesions in the scalp could be suggestive of psoriasis.
Psoriasis.
Right. We can for additional sites like periumbilical area, gluteal cleft, natal cleft, palms and soles for lesions of psoriasis.
So you can see. So what can you describe a psoriatic lesion?
A psoriatic lesion is a dry plaque, or reddish bright color with silvery white scales.
So classically described as erythematous, papillosquamous, scaly plaques. That's a characteristic description. What are the two phenomena in relation to psoriatic lesions?
Cobnus phenomenon.
Cobnus phenomenon. And what sign will elicit with a slide?
The silvery scale.
Then what is that sign called? And you can demonstrate bleeding spots coming. This is called as Auspitz sign. Auspitz sign. What different types of psoriatic lesions you know of? One you said plaque psoriasis is the commonest one. This type of psoriasis is called as vulgaris. Vulgaris means the commonest. Psoriasis vulgaris. Other types of psoriasis are, one is guttate, where you find drop-like lesions are seen. A third type of psoriasis will be the form of pustules. Pustules can come as acute event, subacute event, or a chronic event. Guttate psoriasis is always acute event. The importance of pustular psoriasis is whenever you give large amounts of steroids for psoriatic patients, when you withdraw, the pustular psoriasis appears. The last part of the psoriasis is a bit more dangerous. That's called as erythrodermal variety. Erythroderma means exfoliative dermatitis, where whole body is affected by psoriatic lesions, inflammatory lesions, including palms and soles. Universal involvement. So when somebody has got psoriasis, what are the associated comorbidities you will think about and look for? One is obesity, two is diabetes, third is hypertension, fourth is metabolic syndrome, and fifth will be atherosclerosis. Okay. And what are the factors that are related to prevalence of psoriasis? Factors related to psoriasis may be genetic link. It may be use of ethanol liberally, smoking, and obesity. So, coming to the nails, what are you looking for in the nails?
In the nails, we can look for pitting of nails seen in psoriasis.
That's the earliest. But remember, there are other conditions also where there can be pitting. It is not specific for psoriasis alone. Any other finding?
Onycholysis.
Onycholysis, then
Subungual hyperkeratosis.
Subungual hyperkeratosis, and splinter hemorrhages. And the skull, where exactly you are looking for?
Hairline.
Hair margin. And the scalp as such, there may be history of dandruff, and there may be on treatment for dandruff in these patients. Okay, so you have got this much history in this patient. So what all things you are going to specifically examine in this patient?
On examination, we can look for the posture, the posture of the patient if he's having any stooping.
That's good. Okay, good. Then
on general examination, if the patient is showing any signs of anemia like pallor.
Yes, chronic disease can produce pallor. And whenever this skin is getting desquamated, you are losing iron also. Pallor. Good. Then
specifically, we have to examine the skin, hair, and nails.
Skin, particularly the hidden areas you already mentioned. Nails, all the nails, both upper limbs and lower limbs, all the 20 nails has to be examined. Yes.
Then
you must remember that sometimes there are lesions in the genitalia also that must be specifically looked for. And already we mentioned that there could be associated problem in the eye, uveitis. Sometimes they get conjunctivitis and skin is affected, they may get blepharitis also. So particularly uveitis, history-wise and examination-wise you must look for. What else?
Then examining the musculoskeletal system.
What exactly you're looking for?
Looking for mainly because the patient's system is backache, we have to look at the lumbar spine, whether there is any tenderness, the mobility of the spine. Then we can do the Schober's test.
Spondyloarthritis basically affects the spine. So you have to check for all the movements of cervical spine. The sitting position, you have to look for the rotation of the thoracic spine. Then you have to take the chest expansion. For lumbar spine, you have to do the Schober's test, as you already rightly said. Lateral rotation, lateral flexion, extension, everything has to be done. And all the peripheral joints of the shoulders, elbows, superior inferior ulnar joint, wrist, MCP, proximal referral joint, distal referral joints, sternoclavicular, costoclavicular has to be examined. Then what else? Lower down, what all things you want to see? Lower down. Lumbar spine is over. Then
heel, because patient heel pain is present.
Below lumbar, which are the joints you want to see? Commonly missed. Sacroiliac joint, hip joint, knee joint, ankle joint, metatarsalophalangeal, interphalangeal joints, midtarsal, subtarsal joints. These are joints you have to specifically examine and summarize. Okay. So you have to look for dandruff in the skull, damaged nails. We said you had to look for dactylitis. And this person had swollen second and fourth toes on the right side. Sausage digit were present on the right foot. So what are the differential diagnosis of sausage toes? Is it specific for any condition? Is there psoriasis, or can you get in any other disease this type of lesions? This type of disease can be seen in all conditions producing spondyloarthropathy. So you can have for all types of spondyloarthropathies. You can get in gout. You can get in sarcoid. You can get a reactive arthritis. So this is not specific, but you have to look for. Left ankle and right knee were swollen. Distant interphalangeal joints of both hands swollen and tender. So how many joints are affected now, as of now? So right side toes 1 joint, ankle is 2, knee is 3, both hands 4, 5. Okay. And right sided Faber test is positive. What is that? When do you do Faber test? Faber test is a test done for sacroiliac joint. As the term is very clear, F represents flexion, AB represents abduction, and ER represents external rotation. So you flex the hip, you abduct the hip. In that position, you abduct the hip and do the external rotation. So you will get the pain and tenderness over the sacroiliac region. That's how you localize the sacroiliac joint. Okay, it's a very difficult joint in the sense that it is not very superficial. Minimum amount of movements takes place there. So by looking at the movement, you cannot get it. That's why you are doing Faber test. So you have got unilateral Faber test, unilateral sacroiliac arthritis, asymmetrical lower limb arthritis, and you have got DIP joint involvement and dactylitis with dandruff and damaged nails. What do you make out now?
Psoriatic arthritis.
So your provisional diagnosis is psoriatic arthritis. So what is psoriatic arthritis? What are the points in favor of a diagnosis?
When there is arthritis, psoriasis present synchronously.
So psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis present
along with arthritis, and it is the seronegative arthritis where rheumatoid factor will be absent.
No. We have not done the investigation so far. We are only provisional diagnosis. So we summarize and say this is inflammatory arthritis. This arthritis is asymmetrical. This is polyarthritis. Specifically, DIP is affected. What are the differential diagnosis of DIP involvement? Commonest will be osteoarthritis, second will be gout, third will be psoriasis. So we have only 3 diagnoses coming there. And sacroiliac arthritis also affected. And you already said enthesitis is present. You also said there is dactylitis and there is scalp and nail psoriasis. So we have adequate clues that this may be a case of psoriatic arthritis. Okay, what investigations you plan in this case? Make your pardon?
Blood count, complete blood count, blood investigation.
Hemogram is done, ESR is done, CRP is done. What else?
HLA B27, whether it is positive.
Commonly it is not positive. That is not required for the diagnosis.
X-ray of this lumbar spine.
X-ray can be taken. You want lumbar spine X-ray, or you want sacroiliac joint X-ray.
Sacroiliac joint X-ray.
So actually we want X-rays of the affected areas. So hand X-rays, feet X-rays, X-ray of the hip with sacroiliac joint. Of course, lumbar spine also. Affected joints has to be X-rayed. What other investigation? Early part, you may get ultrasound evidence of inflammation, even when clinically you don't get it. So ultrasound is a good investigation. Although the gold standard to demonstrate the pathology may be MRI, we commonly go for X-ray and ultrasound alone. Yes, any other investigation? And when there's a turnover of cells rapidly, uric acid tends to go up. That may be one abnormality. And we already mentioned there are concomitant things with this patient, like diabetes, dyslipidemia, hypertension. So obviously you have to do investigations for them also. And when you say seronegative, it goes without saying that rheumatoid factor and ACCP are negative. And uveitis, maybe in the past, when unrecognized, so even with that, we may not be able to detect it with a just ordinary torch. We'll always take the help of ophthalmologist. Okay. And how are you going to treat this patient?
If uveitis is present, we have to treat it immediately.
Uveitis needs immediate attention. Very good.
Then patient must be given NSAIDs and analgesics for pain relief.
NSAID must be given because he has complained his pain. NSAIDs are very good treatment for peripheral arthritis, but when it is affecting the axial skeleton, commonly NSAIDs fail. And peripheral arthritis, disease modifying drug of choice is what? Methotrexate. So NSAID may give you relief of your pain in the axial skeleton also, but disease modification will not take place with NSAIDs. Disease modification will take place in the peripheral joints with methotrexate, but methotrexate will not be having much action on the axial skeleton. Okay, so do you have any other option? Okay, so you are going to give him physiotherapy and occupational therapy. As and when you start treating any arthritis, patient must get back to his work. That's why you give physiotherapy and occupational therapy. He should not get disabled. Okay, so conventional disease modifying anti-rheumatic drug of choice is methotrexate with the folic acid. Then you have got your biological DMARDs. What are the biological DMARDs we mentioned last time? Biological DMARDs we said last time. What are they? Name the anti-TNF agents you had last time in your mind.
TNF alpha blockers.
Yes, like etanercept. Okay, infliximab. Okay, and what are the specific things? Specific things. Anything against interleukin 17? Secukinumab and isacizumab are two ones for interleukin 17. And interleukin 12 and interleukin 23, we have ustekinumab may be given for that also. So you have interleukin blockers. Then of course we said last time tissue specific or small molecular disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. Then we have what's called as apremilast. What's apremilast? It's a type of phosphodiesterase 4 inhibitor. Expensive drug, but that can be given. Steroids are not the best drug to treat these patients, but when you give steroids to these patients, they do respond, but when they withdraw, they will go for pustular psoriasis. So, any JR available? Abhishek, tell. Question number 1. What are the X-ray changes of psoriatic arthritis? Psoriatic arthritis will not produce osteoporosis like in case of rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis, we said osteoporosis first thing to occur here. Students, please go to mute. Students, please go to mute. Okay. And psoriatic arthritis, no bone loss. Number one. Psoriatic arthritis X-ray will find they are asymmetrical. Number three will have marginal erosion. Number four, you will find the periosteal reaction will be there. Number five, there will be newborn formation at the site of attachment of muscles, tendons and ligaments. Distal interspinal joint involvement will be very characteristic. And extreme cases, you will be finding the tip of the metatarsals will be just like the tip of a pencil. So that is called as pencil in cup appearance. So it is just unlike the rheumatoid variety where you find symmetrical changes. The osteoporosis is the first thing. Here osteoporosis is not there. Periosteal reaction is there. Newborn formation is there. Distal interphalangeal joints are affected. Then of course you find unilateral sacroiliac joint arthritis. Last point is, if the spine is affected, you may be able to demonstrate what's called syndesmophytes. Syndesmophyte is the excess growth of the bone that is taking place, just like osteophytes. But osteophytes will project horizontally, that's all. But syndesmophytes will go downwards or upwards and meet each other with the bone above and below. That's called as syndesmophytes. That will be unilateral in these cases. So before you go further, tell me about the Casper classification criteria of psoriasis.
So there can be evidence of psoriasis. Is there any?
If there are skin changes, you give 2 points for that. So provided you are sure about the diagnosis. If you are not sure, you can do biopsy and prove. That's also possible. Yes.
Yes, sir. There is any possibility of psoriatic nail dystrophy?
Psoriatic nail dystrophy, you give 1 mark, 1 point. Sorry.
Then
definite past history of psoriasis, you give 1 point. Definite history, that means some other doctor has approved that psoriasis, you can give 1 point. If some other family member has got documented, confirmed evidence psoriasis, you give 1 point. Not by just patient saying I got psoriasis, you don't accept it. Dactylitis, if you have seen, you can give 1 point. And seronegativity, rheumatoid factor ACP negative, you can give 1 point. And if radiologically, juxtaarticular newborn formation is again. Types of psoriasis we already mentioned. Hidden areas we already mentioned. Associations we already mentioned. Nail changes we already mentioned. Tell me about the drugs precipitating psoriasis. Steroids, you already said.
Steroids.
BCG vaccination, amoxicillin, codeine, and then cyclosporine. There are many other drugs which are said to precipitate psoriasis, but without much evidences for that. One will be beta blocker, second will be lithium, antimalarials, and even TNF alpha blockers, ACE inhibitors, and NSAIDs. So when we treat this patient with hypertension, if they are on ACE inhibitors or beta blockers, we tend to withdraw and put some other drug like calcium blockers or centrally acting drug or vasodilators. So in summary, can you tell me the 2 periarticular manifestations of psoriatic arthropathy? One is tenosynovitis, second is edema of the foot or the hand, disproportionate. One important point about psoriatic arthritis is it will not produce much pain compared to rheumatoid, but produces early deformities that can be seen. So in summary, what are the problems that psoriasis can produce on the musculoskeletal system?
There will be joint involvement.
That's called psoriatic arthritis. Psoriatic arthritis, peripheral arthritis, 1. 2. Axial skeleton involvement, 3. Enthesitis, 4. Dactylitis, 5. Nail skin changes. And of course, eye involvement, then periarticular. These are the changes in psoriasis seen. Now tell me about the peculiarity of sacral joint involvement and axial skeletal involvement in case of psoriasis. Usually the changes of ankylosing spondylitis will be symmetrical. Both sides of the spine, both sacral joint. Here it will be basically unilateral. That's the most important point, differentiating between the two. Okay. Now what are the 5 different types of psoriatic arthritis? There are different types of psoriatic arthritis. So far we are telling about psoriatic arthritis, but we didn't say types. 5 different types are there. Number 1 is symmetrical type of polyarthritis, just like rheumatoid arthritis, symmetrical, upper limb, lower limb. But here we can see majority 60% of the patient will be in this category. Important point will be look for scalp lesions, look for dactylitis, heel pain, nail changes, family history, negative rheumatoid factor, DIP involvement. So, and here important point is unlike in rheumatoid disease, here number of joints affected will be very limited. Second group will be asymmetrical oligoarthritis. The patient we are discussing is belonging to that group, asymmetrical oligoarthritis. Third group
distal.
That's only 10%. That is very rare. And the next group will be very deforming, mutilating type of arthritis, mutilants. The last type will be the spondylitis, affecting sacral joint and spine. The importance of sacral joint and spondylitis is 50% of them may be having HLA-B27 positivity. Not everybody. So that's important point about it. Okay. Now, how do you treat psoriasis? Not arthritis, psoriasis.
We can
you can give local application. Coal tar is available. Vitamin D derivatives are available. PUA treatment is there. Sometimes even with PUA treatment, arthritis may subside. Okay. Tell me some side effects of interleukin-17 inhibitors. Interleukin-17 inhibitors, what are the problems? Any idea? It produces severe candid infection. That's the important point of interleukin-17 inhibitors. Tell me some side effects of TNF alpha blockers.
bone marrow suppression.
Bone marrow suppression is correct. Anemia, leukopenia, thrombocytopenia. You can have, first you had to say infection. It is septicemia, sepsis, and dissemination of tuberculosis. It may predispose for malignancies. That's one. Nausea, hypertension may occur, congestive heart failure. Then of course on the bone marrow, it can create problems. So tell me the other conditions producing dactylitis.
TB.
TB is correct. Medical awards, TB, okay. Syphilis, right? Sarcoid, sickle cell disease, gout, and psoriasis. There are 6 conditions we have to remember, and 3 conditions for distinct distal interphalangeal joints. In summary, how to differentiate rheumatoid disease from psoriatic arthritis? Last question. Rheumatoid arthritis basically of the females. Psoriasis occur in equal frequency with males and females. Psoriatic arthritis affects the distal interphalangeal joints, which is not there. Okay. And symmetry is the hallmark of rheumatoid. Asymmetry is the hallmark of
arthritis.
Tenderness precede deformities in case of rheumatoid. Deformities may precede tenderness in psoriatic arthritis. Psoriasis, no endosopathy, no heel pain, and no dactylitis. In rheumatoid arthritis, nodules may be there, not so in psoriasis. X-ray changes we already mentioned, and rheumatoid activity we already mentioned, and extraarticular manifestation of rheumatoid we already mentioned last class, and psoriasis extraarticular manifestations in the eye, conjunctiva, uveitis, and edema, like that it goes. Okay, and association of rheumatoid arthritis with HLA-DR4, but here spondyloarthritis may have association with HLA-B27. These are the basic differences. Although psoriasis look bit easy to diagnose, treatment may be many a time difficult, and the spine is affected. You will have to go for not only conventional DMARDs, biological DMARDs, and smaller molecules will have to be incorporated.